You are now listening to Carly's Couch.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life,
whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy.
This week, we discuss the importance of creating a morning routine and give you 4 tips on the best way to create yours.
We're giving how many tips?
Well, it's like 4 categories, technically.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to have 4 tips.
Oh, no. It's 4 categories.
Hey, Carly, how are you?
I am wonderful. I feel like a sloth from Zootopia today. Like I'm just moving in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice. I just got back from reading at the park and like soaking up some sunshine. So enjoying my slow day.
That's good. Yeah, as we get ready to start a new week, so our episodes come out on Mondays. And so I think that today's episode will be very helpful. We're talking about morning routines, and we did ask people what things they wanted to hear about. And Carly said you guys were asking about, that morning routine. You said it was a few people, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then were they asking anything specific about it, or it's just?
I think it specifically was just a morning routine and how to create one. And someone was like, how to stick to a morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just, this thread around how to start your day, I guess, in an efficient way.
Why do you think people ask about that? What is it about having a routine?
I think they're trying to find the best way to set themselves up for success. And that is usually found in your systems and your routine. I also think that people just want to be more productive and want to feel better in their days. And so they're like, man, maybe my morning routine is what's missing. Maybe that's the thing that I'm missing out on.
Yeah, when I've always kind of looked into people's stories, or you're looking for productivity tips, et cetera, there seems to always be this theme about your routine in general, but also with how you start your day. It seems like most folks who are considered successful are in a place where they're very focused in on what they're doing at this time in their life. It seems like they do have a particular morning routine. Very few people I'll see who say, hey, I just do whatever. But a lot of people really do have a good morning routine. And for me, I would imagine that it really just does set your day up. How you start the day is a huge indicator of, how the rest of your day will go. And just like when we talk about self-esteem and different things like that, it seems like to practice something that gets you started in a good mood, or, to get, certain things done early, again, glide you through the rest of the day. So that's why I think it's important for me. And that's how it's helped me for sure.
Absolutely. And to your point about, successful people, man, if y'all just type in successful morning routines, it's going to be Tony Robbins and Warren Buffett. It's going to be all these people and all these things. And I think that that's the cool thing, right? Is it's not one way to be successful or to create a morning routine. We really just have to kind of dig in and find what works for you. I feel like I'm actually kind of in a sweet spot with having a good, successful morning routine, because I've definitely tried a lot of stuff that either doesn't stick or doesn't work out for me.
Mm-hmm. And how did you come to a place where you feel like something actually stuck?
Because I can do it consistently, and it flows and it feels good. And I just feel more grounded throughout my day, and I feel less all over the place. I feel better prepared, I guess, each day. And I've noticed oh man, because I've tried a lot of stuff, the Tony Robbins stuff, all kinds of things. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It's not really my thing, but it does make me. Oh, so Tony Robbins, he does a lot of different things, but what he recommends at his big rah-rah events is what I call them, is you get up and then he has this specific breathing, you like that quick fire breathing. So getting up and doing that a set amount of times. He recommends ice bath. He recommends exercise, but his is very do all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, that's not for me. I tried though. I really did. I got up for a couple weeks and maybe a week and tried all the things. And I was like, yeah, that ain't mine.
So it sounds like maybe depending on your life, depending on maybe the things that you need at the time, maybe there's different pieces or different things that would be build your own morning routine. I would similarly say I've heard things or read things, and I would try it, and it's always kind of useful. It's just that same as you, like it doesn't always stick. And I feel like I've gotten, and also there's been times where it's like I've done the same routine for a while, and then it's like it just got off, or it didn't really feel the same anymore, or I needed to do something a little different, needed a little more discipline in a different area, and then I changed it, and then it's like, all right, now this is better, moving on. And maybe even my current morning routine just kind of happened when I have the free time that I want in the morning. And so it's like I don't even, like, if you ask me what my routine is now, I don't even really try to do anything. But this, if I look back, like, oh, there are certain things that happen every morning, and then certain things that I do look forward to. What is your morning routine right now, personally?
So personally, I make sure that I go to bed so I can at least get 7, 8 hours of sleep. So that's the first thing, and it starts at night so that I can wake up feeling refreshed. I get up within the same hour time frame, depending on like when I went to sleep. The first thing I do is I enjoy like laying in bed. So I don't set it to where I have to get up and hop right out of bed, because you're in, I think it's theta brain waves. Somebody correct me if y'all know for real. But whatever it is, it's like the first 20 minutes you wake up is like not quite awake, but not quite asleep. So it's like a great time for manifestation and just like raising your vibration. And so I think about all the things that I'm grateful for. I start thinking about all the things that I'm excited about for the day, but consistently, when I wake up, it's like anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, I'm like lying there, enjoying waking up slowly. And then also just thinking about gratitude. Then I get up and, take a shower. I've started ending that with a cold shower, which is set to raise your dopamine, but also enhance your immunity, like your immune system. Like go ahead and turn that on and have those both firing for the whole day. And then, brush my teeth and wash my face and then get dressed. And then I will drink water, or that probably happened right after I brush my teeth, drink water. And then I'll enjoy either journaling or reading, kind of whatever is on my mind, but I make it a point to stay off my phone. And then I just bought a juicer. So now I'm enjoying fresh juice in the morning. And then about 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half in, that's like when I'll start drinking my coffee and doing things. Cause I heard a podcast say that if you don't let the sleep like get out of your system, like those chemicals, then caffeine can just make you more exhausted. And so I try to wait a little bit to push out the caffeine, but that's kind of been a sweet spot for me, kind of moving slow, but making
that's
sure
still
those
pretty
get
short though. To say like an hour, hour and a half to do all those things. Sound like you said a lot of things within that time period. About what time do you get your day started after that time?
Oh yeah, about like 8:30-ish, 9, depending on how slow I'm moving around in the morning, but around 8:30 or 9.
And
I like
then
having that quiet time to myself, like twilight.
That ain't 8:30 ain't twilight anymore though.
No, I wouldn't, but like 6:30 is, so if I'm getting up at like 6:30, it's like, well, now it's starting to get brighter earlier, but yeah.
And then how has that changed over time?
So over time, I used to be the person, I always make sure I make my bed too. I used to be the person just to get up right before I had to be somewhere in like 10 minutes. And I'm not going to lie and say that on the days that I teach early were the day that I teach early, that doesn't sometimes happen. But usually like get up to where I'm like 5-minute shower, brush my teeth, wash my face, I'm out the door. Like it ain't no chilling. I have to go straight to do whatever. But I used to live my whole life like that. Like it was always like just get up right before I had to be at school, right before I had to be at work. And then I just felt always so rushed and I didn't really ever have time for myself. So everything I've ever tried has been to try to ground me and give me a little bit more time to myself in the mornings. So before I used to not have any type of routine, and then I tried to get up a couple hours early and exercise and do all that stuff. It just doesn't work for me like that. I don't like the way that I feel. I'd be exhausted halfway through the day. I don't like that. So then it just kind of kept shifting until I figured out this like slow, easy morning.
Yeah. So you're saying instead of trying to get up and be gung ho, for you, it makes more sense to like, let me have this time to relax into the day. So what are the like 2 top things out of your current morning routine that you would say are the most important in like getting you set? Like if you had just had 30 minutes or whatever, like are there a couple of those things that you're like, if you don't do them, your day is off or your morning is off?
Absolutely. And I totally forgot about meditation. So in addition to my gratitude, I always meditate, just depending on how I'm feeling. So I would say my gratitude, as soon as I first wake up, a meditation, 5 to 20 minutes, depending on how I'm feeling that day. the cold at the end of my shower, and then my water. Like those are the things that if I only have a few minutes, I'm gonna still meditate for a couple minutes. I'm gonna be grateful for a few minutes. I'm gonna add one cold minute on the end of my shower, and then I'm gonna drink that water.
Okay. So listeners, right now, my morning is fairly similar and objective. It is that lately I've liked to just kind of have my own slow morning. And I think why that's so important for me is because once you start getting into meetings, talking to folks, doing things, it does feel like all of a sudden kind of like your time is like go, go, go. And your time is directed, your energy is kind of directed towards other folks. And so for me, it just feels like I'm still like the captain of my life, and like I get to relax during the day or during the morning before I get into everything else with everybody. So for me, the only thing though is I definitely do roll over because I have 7 a.m. meetings every morning now too. So there's sometimes, I think as the week goes on, that I'll start to like roll over for that. And then it's like that meeting that kind of wakes me up. But even that meeting is an internal one. So it's about like us and the company, what we're doing. And so sometimes my morning will really start after that. So it'll be like 7:30. But either way, the things that are really a part of my morning routine is honestly very, very few things. I like to make my coffee. That's like one of the things, like when I wake up, I'm like excited to do. And being in the sun a little bit, whether I'm reading, usually not like writing in the morning, but I'll try to find time to do some reading. And I'll sit like right where the light can kind of come in to my room, on the inside if it's kind of chilly in the morning, or I can go out on my balcony. And really, those are like the two components that just really allow me to feel ready. And I guess maybe I'll say also, although sometimes I do this the night before now, is also clearing out my whiteboard for the day if I didn't do it the night before, to reflect. Like I'll look at my day's meetings and look at the next days to really say like, this is what I'm doing today. This might be what I need to prep for tomorrow. And then making it so that my to-dos for the current day are doable and all, just the top important things that I need to do. And so it just allows me to start my day slow, but also go into my day knowing what I'm about to do, what's the intentions and the things I have to do the day, and just being clear on what needs to be accomplished before the end of the day. And so then a lot of times as I go through the day, I'll get to scratch the things off as I'm doing them. And then it'll come to 2, 3, 4 o'clock and it's like, oh, I'm actually, I got those things done. So then I really don't feel any kind of way about chilling for the evening or the rest of the day and like not really like working all late into the day. And also for the most part, I just get as much done as I can get done before I like have to go do something or interrupt the day. Because once I interrupt it, it's like you never really can get back on task. Like I'll just be done. So it's important that my day starts well, and then I'm usually like top heavy productive, and that kind of like wears off through the day.
Mm-hmm. How has that changed over time? Because you said you recently kind of got into this move.
Yeah, it's definitely changed a lot over time. There's times that, but there's some ways to change that I want to get back to. So for example, I do want to do more of my meditations every morning. That really did make a big difference. And I just got to the point where I didn't add the time in for it. Some mornings I will, if it's early enough. But then something like meditation, you're supposed to do, or with transcendental, for example, you're supposed to do before you like drink coffee and, have other stimulants or other things in your body. So there definitely was a time that I was way more on point with that. And journaling, maybe doing some chakra stuff, like just trying to have a rigid morning routine. I used to do my workouts in the morning, like 5 a.m.s. Now I've changed that to some days it's 12, other days 1, other days 10. But I actually like it, I think, a little bit better later on in the day. And what's weird about that is that even though before I'm thinking, okay, I'm starting my day off with a win, work out, get going, and that was fine. But I also get like super tired earlier. And for some reason, even though I put my workouts now in the middle of the day, it still feels like somehow I have plenty of time for everything. So like I still get so much done, then go do my workout, and then I'll either do a little bit more or, whatever else I have to do is kind of on chill mode. So there's definitely been times where I just had like more action and like more like I'm trying to check off legit steps. But when I stop trying so hard to like make it a routine, then it's like, all right, when I open my eyes, I'm really just doing what I feel like doing, which is like, let me just relax before I have to really get into it.
Hmm. I think that's such a cool place to be. And you said, basically, whenever I stopped trying so hard, it kind of fell together.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and it's interesting too because like I just totally wasn't even a morning person for a long time like that, right? And so within the last few years, I really have gotten to the point where like I love waking up. And to your point though, it's like definitely I also love going to sleep. So unless I'm like just out or hanging out or something where it's like, dang, I'm not at home and I'm up too late or whatever, for the most part, like I'll be asleep. Like yesterday, I definitely went to sleep this weekend at like 9. I was fighting it at like 7:30 and I was like, yeah, you got to stay up a little longer. And then I was like watching British TV, so that wasn't helping. But I was like, man, I'm gonna just go ahead and go to sleep by 9. But then I got like 10 hours of sleep, some crazy amount. But also, it's just like, that's okay because it's still the weekend. And to get a good amount of sleep, like I really just find myself waking up kind of naturally around the 6 or 6:30. But sometimes I do get up, and sometimes I don't really get out of bed just yet. So, it's like still feels good to just kind of like automatically wake up earlier in the day.
And it's so nice. Like you said, I think it feels like I get time back too. And when I
Hmm.
started off with me, that's always a win. And I think that's really why it's important, really, how you start your day, because then that same energy just kind of flows into everything else. And if you're not intentional about how you start, then you getting like pushed to the wayside, however the day goes. And nobody
Hmm.
likes to be in that position.
Hmm. Yeah, and one of the things we hadn't talked about so much, you mentioned it, like not being on your phone. I definitely still, like by the time I turn over, I usually like check my emails, mostly because I'm always trying to like clear out anything I can clear out. So it's always this game of like every time I check, I want to see like what junk can I clear out to keep my number low, notifications. Um,
You not
yeah,
you
that
gamifying emails.
yeah, but that's not really something that I've been able to really do or super tried is like don't be on your phone until a certain time. Although I'm pretty also good at like I'll see something and be like, oh, okay, like I'm not really in a rush to answer or do anything per se, if I'm on like my good schedule. So I think that's something that I would probably like to try or not think about. If I'm like with a partner or something, I try to like my morning. I like to spend the mornings, especially like with them, and walk the dog, make coffee. We both like to make coffee and like have that little time in the morning too. So I think the morning is just a good time to set. It's a good time to set with yourself. Maybe a good time to set with a partner or people in your home. If you have kids, like that morning time where you can kind of have that conversation before they go to school or hop on their computer, however school is going these days. And yeah, so like the morning is important. It sets a good foundation for your day. And I think it's a good time to like keep your stress low if you can. Because I definitely know what it feels like to wake up super anxious as well. And I've probably, if we go back years ago from the podcast now, like I literally used to wake up with like my chest pounding and I was just like scared, nervous, like, oh my God, I have so much to do. I'm so behind or however else I felt. And now it's like I can literally be behind and I'm waking up like, well, I'm still read my book. like it's gonna be what it's gonna be. But yeah, for some reason I just don't feel like that as much anymore in the mornings.
Yeah, that's a beautiful recognition and growth. That's a nice place to be. I definitely still wake up
Hmm.
anxious sometimes, even when I do all these things. And so, in no way am I saying that once you have a routine, you're not gonna wake up anxious because I was
Hmm.
today, just chilling.
But I
And
think that
then it
kind
was
of
nice, and then for some reason, hmm go ahead.
Look, my bad. The Zoom kind of overlapped. I thought you were done. I was going to say, but that does also speak to what we were saying earlier about make your routine or add into your routine the things that you may need for that. So if you've been kind of feeling like anxious in the mornings, like that's especially maybe important for you to meditate when you wake up. Or it's especially important for you to like have some time like outside or, getting grounded or whatever you need to do. So I think if we think about kind of what's the mode in which you wake up or like what does your day look like, there's certain things that may be helpful. um, and as Carly said in the beginning, there's kind of 4 different categories from which I'm going to say it's like these are the ingredients that you can use to build a morning routine or things to try. um, I personally will recommend maybe trying a couple of things at a time or If you already have a current routine and you hear something interesting that you haven't thought of before, maybe kind of throw it in there, and just, put things in and take them out as you need to.
Absolutely. And in no way, by no means is this list exclusive. Like, try these things. This is just a dipping your toe in the ocean of things that you can do. But I kind of like to break it up. Like, when I was thinking, like, what's a good way to plan a morning routine? Like, when you're thinking about yourself. And so, like, we kind of broke it up mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. There's like ways to think about. So if you're, consistently waking up anxious, you're consistently like frustrated throughout your day, you're feeling rushed, you're not like how you have enough time, or maybe you're just tired. Like, think about the categories and what type of things might actually help you feel better in your day. And the first one is mentally. So thinking about things that stimulate your mind. Lexi and I both kind of mentioned like reading, or like listening to something that feeds your mind and inspires you. I think that that's important to take time, especially if you are a reader or somebody who's working on learning things. Like, spend time dedicated to what you want to do and what you want to learn in the morning.
And also, to piggyback on that, something that I'm going to start doing is reading news in the morning. And by that, not necessarily like watching, like, how primetime news can be sometimes, but more so like Economist, NPR, and just being up to date on the things that are going on, more so even like global scale. But that's something that I used to really, really do back in the day. And it does feel good to kind of have a little slight pulse on what's going on. Kind of can help jog creativity when you're reading or listening to things, whether it be fiction or whether it be like a self-help type thing or a podcast or whatever. That's a good time, I think, to soak in information also. So whether you're hardcore, like trying to learn, or just softly, it's just like, this is my introduction to just listening to something and taking in information. That's definitely a good place to start.
Another one, and Alexia mentioned this, is setting a list of what you're going to do for the day and how you're going to plan and schedule your day. One of my favorite quotes from Warren Buffett is, he says, write down a list of like 10 things that you need to do, and then pick your top 3 and then throw the rest of the list away. Like, that's really all you need to do. And I read a funny quote when I was doing some research about morning routines, and it was like, eat the frog first thing in the morning. So like doing your hardest tasks. So making sure that the most important things get done, because we've all set ourselves up for failure by putting the most important things last, and then we don't end up getting it done that day. So making sure that you're focusing on what's really important each day.
And consider that the most important things can sometimes be about you, as far as your business, your like biz dev, something personal like for you, versus if you have clients or if there's other people that you deal with, like making sure also your stuff is the first stuff, I think is important. Another thing is distance from technology. So for sure, as much as you can, not having to like wake up and get right into your laptop or right into your phone. I don't know, something about that time where it's like, if you're not on anything, it feels like it almost feels like a mini vacation sometimes in the morning, before you really get into the work of the day.
And then this last one, when I think about mentally, like, what is something I can do to set myself up for a win? And that is to make sure I don't get decision fatigue throughout the day. So it's helpful if I know like what time I'm going to work out, if I know like when I've set in my schedule to meditate, what am I going to eat that day? Because if not, if you don't plan any of those things, you kind of spend your whole day like, I could do this or maybe this. And at the end of the day, you're just exhausted with all of these options. And so by kind of setting that out, like, okay, I know I'm a eat at home 3 days this week, and then these other 2 days I can give myself some playroom. But just making sure you're setting yourself up with a win by knowing what time and what type of food, like what time everything is, so you're not like exhausted.
And then it sounds like we both don't really get that physical in the morning, but for a lot of people on the physical side, starting your day with the gym can be very helpful, because it really does feel like you got a huge thing done already for the day, which you did. And it really can jumpstart your body. A lot of my friends now talk about like they'll do stretching in the morning, which is maybe a little like less intense, but also as we're getting older, it's nice and it's really good to like actually just those simple types of things, like just stretching, maybe go for a short walk, something like that.
Yeah. And my auntie woke up and started dancing. She was like trying to get through some like mental health places, and she just wasn't in a really great space, and she doesn't like exercise at all. But now she gets up every morning and dances, and I love that for her so much. Like, she gets up and just dances, and that kind of sets her on her own thing. So whether you like, HIIT workouts, lifting weights in the morning, running, minor stretching, restorative yoga, just doing something to move your body and get that energy, that stagnant energy kind of out and around. Making sure that you're drinking water. We all like coffee mostly, or tea, but make sure you're also drinking water to get your digestive system going, helping your body be able to do its processes. And then also, like, unless you're fasting, like making sure you don't wait until 5 p.m. to eat. Making sure you set yourself up for a win that way, whether it's a smoothie or a piece of fruit or something, but just eating something nutritious and delicious.
Yeah, eating isn't part of my morning routine because I'm not hungry in the morning like that. And I don't really eat until typically like in the afternoon, unless it's like a fruit or, some juice or something like that. But I think it is important for sure. Like, I do like to make sure I drink water before my coffee. So like, and you know how when you first drink that water in the morning, you can like really feel it going all the way through your whole system. So it's like,
like
wash yourself out first, drink a lot of water in the morning. And then definitely continue that through the day when you can. And then Carly takes a cold shower also. That's something my dad also does, and he talks about, and it's really good for your body because it strengthens you. It strengthens your like adaptability in a good way. It keeps you, it's almost like discomfort in a way that strengthens you also. So this is like a science thing where, as we've grown and as humans become more comfortable and more technology savvy, and, we can heat our water up. Like, it's really awesome to even think about like how much like progress there is in everything that we do. And yet at the same time, it can kind of weaken us because it's like, sometimes that shock to your system is really good for you. So I've heard a lot of good things about that. I'm just not that interested in it, but I'm glad it's working out for Carly. Y'all could try it.
Look, I was about to say, and you can start small. So like start with the last 30 seconds of your shower being just a little chilly, and then it can get colder. But scientifically, it's great also for dopamine because it is a little bit of discomfort. So it like a little bit of pleasure with your pain, if you will, but it helps your brain regulate all of those because we're overloaded with dopamine every day, and we get burnout and all those things. And so it's a way to regulate that, and also to help with immunity because it does shock your immune system into kickstarting. The next category is emotionally. And I think that it's important to make sure that you really check in with yourself before you go into the world and they tell you how you feel, or you go onto social media and you're absorbing all that energy. So it's important to start like grounded, like, man, how am I feeling today? I'm a little anxious. Oh, okay. So then that kind of guides what you need to do. Man, I'm excited. Bet. Okay. So that can kind of help you guide what you need to do. So just making sure that you check in with yourself before anything else.
And I like the idea of making sure you greet / hug, in whatever way, a loved one. Even if I'm at home and like my brother who's on the other side of the house, like we'll dap each other up in the morning, or if I'm at my partner's crib or he's over here, then like I said, we'll wake up and it's like, morning feels good. And like, why not start your morning on a good note with your relationship? So that's very important. And even virtually, like one of my best friend's moms texts me every day and it's like, good morning, and a random like GIF or like picture or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even talk to my own parents every morning, but I always like, all right, have a good Monday. And even though it's like, it's a list and she just getting them out, it's still something about like that slight connection of, all right, we're in this today. Let's get it. And doing that with somebody else is pretty cool.
And so making time for that, because sometimes you won't even have time throughout the rest of the day. Y'all both busy or whatever's going on. So making sure you just like check in with them too. I mentioned doing a gratitude list, whether you're journaling or just saying it out loud or just thinking like, man, before I put my feet on the floor, what are three things I'm grateful for today? Like, you can't never lose with gratitude. It sounds corny and cheesy and whatever, but there's enough scientific evidence and it just feels good. So you want to start your day grateful.
Yeah, that's something good to do. I tend to focus on like any kind of journaling or writing or like reflection on the evening. So that's more of an evening type routine for me, because I like to just think about the day and like, how did I do things the way that I think I should have, or, whatever happened, right? Or doing like research. Sometimes in the morning I spend actually more time, like I'll research things or look into things. but I never have really written. I don't know why I can't get into that, like just waking up and like writing, but that's probably something. If I had to say like from this episode, what I would add into my day or try to add into my morning would be something around like just writing 3 things that I'm grateful for, or just thinking about that. But I do think that in the morning I have that conversation with myself any kind of way where it's like, oh man, like every time, like I do get that moment to just like relax, like, oh, I'm so glad I live where I live. I enjoy, this space. Sometimes I'm just like, man, I'm enjoy this bed. I love, the coffee I get to drink in the morning, whatever it may be. So I have those thoughts, but it would probably be nice to like write them down too.
I love that. And then another one is just thinking about emotionally, like, what you're looking forward to in the day, thinking about, something that makes you feel good, just really spending that time to connect with yourself. That's really all that is. But you can't lose whenever you take time to connect with yourself. I think that that's probably one of the biggest things that most people miss in their morning routine. It's like, I work out because of this, but it's like, I do this because this makes sense. But sometimes the rewards that come from the emotional check-ins and the spiritual things aren't as easy to calculate. They're not as tangible. And so sometimes those are the things that get left behind. So whenever you are creating your morning routine, these things might not work for you, but find a way to connect with yourself emotionally that does.
Yeah. And then the fourth category is spiritual. What are some spiritual type things that can be a part of our morning routine?
Man, I think you mentioned some amazing ones. So one is like being in nature if you can. So sunshine, or if you have plants or whatever, just connecting with nature. So either being out in it,
watering my plants,
just making sure you get some. Yeah, watering your plants.
That's actually,
I talk to mine.
Part of mine.
I talk to mine like, good morning. Like my old roommates, when I used to have some, thought I was crazy because I talk to my plants every morning. But they need to be greeted with love. Taking time to be mindful, whether that is a moment of gratitude, whether that's breath work or a meditation, whatever it looks like to take a spiritual pause for yourself. So if you're religious and you want to pray and that's your thing, cool. Just do that. Make sure you're consistent and do that in the morning. Just any way you can ground yourself, because I think that's one of the biggest benefits of a morning routine is being grounded. So you know how you can confidently start your day, and then you're not as easily like tossed by the wayside whenever the day gets crazy because you've already been grounded. I think one that people don't think about, but is also, I would consider a spiritual practice, is kind of organizing your space, because then you're able to really flow in it. So for me, making my bed is a big deal. Organizing my workspace before I get my day started, making sure everything is good. Like if I fell asleep and my laptop was kind of everywhere with my books, just making sure that the energy in my space will be conducive to a good, productive day.
Yeah, I definitely get that. It's something about straightening up that's also in the same way as like a workout or something. It just kind of like gets you in the mode to like keep going and keep getting things done. And then I would say consider that even to wake up and pray or be mindful, like all of those things can kind of combine with the gratitude and preparing for your day, because a lot of times you're saying like what you're thankful for, or like you're just getting set. So however you do that, I think is pretty cool. And like a few of these things can kind of go together. Another one is if you do like read a Bible, or if you're reading, there's types of stuff that you're reading in the morning. Like I used to love listening to the spiritual laws in the morning. Just things that kind of like remind you of where you kind of want to be set.
Yeah, I think that that's super important. I actually started just listening to Lao Tzu's book about the Tao, like the way. So in a similar vein, if you want to take some time and listen to those spiritual studies. The last thing, those are all the categories that we have, but I just want to give a reminder that not everything works for everybody. So if you haven't found your routine, that's probably why you're listening to this episode. Just remember that it's okay to find your own groove. Like I don't like working out in the morning because I'm exhausted, but also my brain kind of checks out around 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So I found that that's a great time for me to move my body, because then I can be tuned back in after the workout. And so it's like trial and error, figuring out what works for you. And also, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and also remember that you don't have to do 10 of these things. Like one thing in the morning can be a morning routine. What makes it a routine is that it's a part of your day every day. So you also don't have to try to play yourself and, all right, I'm gonna write in the morning, I'm gonna read, and I'm gonna make tea, and then I'm gonna exercise. Like you don't have to do all of that in the morning, But like we were saying at the very beginning, even if you choose one new thing or one thing to say, all right, I'm gonna make sure I get an extra 10 minutes to do this first before I do whatever you were already doing, then that's considered a morning routine, and just see like how that makes any kind of difference for you.
Start small and hit us up and let us know what you're trying this week. If it's something different. Lexi mentioned hers. I think what I'm going to start doing is at night trying to plan for the next day. So maybe trying to do my scheduling like you do the night before, like here's the 3 most important things I want to get done, my workout, etc. So I can kind of have a vision of what's going on before I wake up in the morning.
And you know what makes that easy is that you start by putting down the things that's already on your to-do list. So like mine separated into 3 categories. It's like biz, as far as like for me, like new business and like things I might have to do with other people to get them into business. Another one is Cap Social, as far as like biz dev stuff. So stuff that's internal, like that we're ongoing working on. And then it's the client work. And so before I even think about like the tasks, for example, if I look at my calendar for tomorrow, it's like, oh, I know I have this client meeting, and this morning meeting with, internal. Putting those things down first, then also helps you think about like, all right, is there anything I need to do before those? Or, like you can go around it. And, or it also shows you, oh, dang, I got 7 meetings. So like, I'm probably not gonna get anything else done. So why try to make this list super extensive with a bunch of other stuff? And then I even have my personal stuff that I try to put maybe just 1 or 2 things on that I need to get done. Whether that might be like therapy or lunch with somebody or something like that, right? But most of the things on my list are things that I know are going to get done because they're already set with other people. So that makes it helpful to just start there.
Yeah, and that's a good tip. I was chuckling because I saw dinner with Carly on your list, and I was like, "Oh, you
and I checked that hoe off." Right, and because it feels good when you cross things off. So even if I know that's gonna have to happen, or like it's set, and so that doesn't mean I don't have to put it on my list. Like this still shows me all the things that are getting done today. So it's like I can put everything and still like cross it off.
I love that. And hopefully this helps you out with your morning routine. Like I said, hit us up. Let us know what 1 thing, 2 that you're trying this week. Don't go crazy. Because we want it to be something that's sustainable. But yeah, hit us at Carly's Couch. Let us know. And also send this to a friend or somebody who usually is trying to figure out their routine or struggling with getting their mornings together. And hit us up with some shout outs also, because we don't always know what's going on with y'all and amazing things y'all are doing. So we would love to celebrate you. We have some amazing episodes coming up with some dope people, but we also want to shout out y'all and all the things you're working on. And then ending today's episode with the question of the week. Ooh, I'm gonna do the first one. So what was your favorite book or like book series growing up, and why?
If I had to choose one, I would go with Choose Your Own Adventures. I used to love going to the library as a kid. Like I wore my library card out, and it was like a fun trip for us to go to the library and go to the kids section, look through all the books. So I used to love different series, but one of them for sure was Choose Your Own Adventure, because I would love the action in them. And then it's like, do this or do this, and you have to fold the paper down and try to go and see like if you're about to die or what happens, and that didn't work out. It's like going back, and like I remember like always trying to see like if I can go through all the possibilities. Like I would try to read it and see what every ending looked like. So that was just so much fun, and there was like so much real like adventure to them. They were such fun stories to me.
That's so cool. I had never even heard of Choose Your Own Adventure books. I remember you looking at me like I was crazy because we had watched whatever Netflix movie was like Choose Your Own Adventure. And I was like, I've never even seen that before.
Oh yeah. What was the name of that show? I forgot about that. But that was interesting. And I'm surprised that was the first time they did that, where it's like you could choose what the next thing was. And I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I'd never seen those before. I obviously am I'm obviously a Harry Potter fan, so I love Harry Potter. But outside of that, The Count of Monte Cristo was like one of these books that I devoured that book when I was little. It was just so cool to me, and I just envisioned like, Edmund and like everything that was going on. Like I could hear the sounds, and it was just my first book where I just remember being like completely in a different world, like whenever I was reading.
Is it so cool. Just one book, right? It's not, that one's not a series.
It's just one. It was a thick book back then.
I think I'm mixing up a couple things.
But But I
Oh,
just
that's
remember
fun.
being like completely immersed in this whole other world. And I was like, wow, books can really like take you to other places
Mhm.
outside of like smaller ones when I was little. But that's the first time like imagination was on par, man. Like it was so cool.
Yeah, that's what's important even now to like, keep reading fiction and adventure books. Yeah, I love doing that from time to time for sure. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Let us know what you're going to switch up for your routine. Let us know what book series or book you enjoyed reading as a kid. And yeah, get that day started off right. It's Monday. You got the rest of the week. Let's see how much you can, how many days you can go with your new morning routine. That's really the challenge for sure.
Yeah, hit us and let us know. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Bye.